The truth about plus size in fashion. I want to educate plus size consumers and consumers in general how to be better shoppers. Hi, I'm Jody Jan. I've worked in the fashion industry for over 30 years for 50 plus brands, including some plus size brands. Being an educated shopper does not mean find the cheapest or most readily available products out there. You don't need to sacrifice style for good fitting clothes. With technology today, you can find hundreds if not thousands of brands that are willing to design for the plus size market. You just need to search for them and become a more informed consumer. In this video, I'll be delving into the truth about inclusivity in fashion, educating you how plus size clothing go from brands to consumers. Before we begin, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Professionally, I have worked for over 50 plus brands in the fashion industry over 30 years, including some that offer plus size fashion. I have seen this controversial issue from designers, retailers, and consumers' point of view, and I want to bridge a gap of misinformation regarding plus size in the fashion industry. As me personally, I'm anywhere between a size 10 to a size 14, depending on brand, but I'm also long-waisted and also long torso. Some people might say that my mid-size is not plus size enough to talk about size inclusivity, not realizing that size inclusivity needs to be a bigger conversation than just plus size. Currently, the size scale for Missy runs anywhere from a 00 to a size 12 for wovens, and an XXS through an XL for knits. And then in the plus size, it could run anywhere from a size 18 through a 28 for wovens, and a 1X through a 5X for knits. Which means I fall into the mid-size scale of being in between missy sizing and plus sizing depending on the brand. I understand the struggle and frustration when it comes to finding clothes that should fit, but I also understand the difficulty and hoops that fashion brands have to jump through to have the opportunity to offer plus size fashion while maintaining a profitable business. Starting off, I'm going to clarify the misconception that consumers have. While fashion is for everyone, fashion brands have a specific target customer that they're catering to. In 2022, emerging brands and some established brands are serving the plus size community more so than it was a decade ago or even 5 years ago, when I agreed that the fashion industry was not serving size inclusivity as it should have been. But we've come a long way from seeing only skinny Victoria's Secret models or seeing skinny fashion campaigns presented to us in fashion. The fashion industry moves to be more adaptive to the demands of consumers. Is it perfect? No, but there have been great efforts made to improve the accessibility of size inclusivity in fashion compared to the past. What consumers don't know is that it's easy for a brand to start from the ground up with size inclusivity in mind because they're able to target their audience with a curated team of plus size knowledge in mind. If a brand have an established audience with a different demographic, that means they have to pivot their business strategy to include another demographic into their business model. They have to spend time strategizing whether it's viable for the brand. If they do, they have to reconsider their established team who might not have enough experience in the plus size industry, to include more experienced designers and pattern makers with the knowledge of the plus size body and how it's different than the missy size body, which again circles back to their budget and their business model. Every successful business model comes with a target customer that they're aiming for. It's basic business 101. It's the same for the fashion industry as it is in the car industry or the food industry. It is impossible for any one brand to cater to everyone's needs, wants, and budget, which is why it's more important than ever for brands to acknowledge who the target customer is and make sure that the target customer is getting the best quality and fit of the styles that they provide. Simply put, fashion is for everyone. Fashion brands aren't. Much like food is for everyone, but not everyone gets to eat at the same restaurant. There are brands out there who solely cater to the plus size community. They don't even have missy sizing in their business model. This includes price points from contemporary designer all the way to mass market price points. Before I go any further, please subscribe and help me grow this channel. Thank you. Now, what is plus size in the fashion industry? Like I stated before, in textbook and technical terms, plus size is 18 to 28 and 1x to 5x. Nowadays, because more emerging brands are catering to a specific target audience of plus size, there are more sizes than just industry standards. This includes up to size 10x and size 32. But what do those sizes mean in size charts? Over the last 20 years, the fashion industry has gone from vanity sizing to brand sizing. Vanity sizing is where a brand oversizes a smaller size to cater to a larger size woman without changing the size number, leading to styles being larger than they are labeled as. Brand sizing is when a brand creates a size scale at their own discretion. This is why you shouldn't just trust the size label of a garment, but you should focus on the measurements the brands are offering you. It's more crucial than ever to look at the size chart of each brand you're shopping to figure out what size you actually are. When you are looking at the size charts, most brands will give you the standardized fit of the body proportion of their fit model and not the measurements of the garment. Brands rarely show you the measurement of the actual garment because some styles are meant to be worn looser or tighter than other styles, which leads to a conflicting personal taste factor. I think if you don't know how to measure yourself and use those measurements proportionally to figure out from the chart how the fit is to your body, it's a hit and miss in how the clothes will fit you and what it looks like proportionally. The model used is a gauge of what the style will look like and not actually on you, because proportionally you might be a different body type. Some e-commerce sites will give you basic measurements of the models and the size that they're wearing in the photos, but I wouldn't only rely on the photos and what it looks like on the model, because oftentimes the reason why something you see online looks different on you than the model is because it's a tribute to your kibi. I made 2 whole videos about the kibi and silhouettes, which I'll be linking below if you're interested in it. Here are some common fit issues the plus size community should be aware of. Fit issue is a common problem across all sizes and body types. There should be more specialty sizing in the conversation of size inclusivity than just plus size, including tall and petite sizing. Petite size consumers complain about the clothes not being petite enough, and tall people complain about the tall size clothing not being tall enough. Then you have tall people who are plus size and petite people who are plus size. Talk about a double whammy. Lastly, you have the issue of body proportions too. Again, I want to reiterate that fit issues are common across all sizes and body types. When consumers ask brands to be more size inclusive, it's not just a matter of adding a couple inches here and there or taking a couple inches off here and there. You have to factor in fit issues too. In the plus size body, there are arm fat, back fat, belly rolls, a full bottom, hip dips, and thick thighs that designers have to consider when they're designing plus sizes. And these teams of people need years of education and training to manipulate a piece of fabric to properly fit around a plus size body. Also, an issue I see within consumers is an average person do not shop based on their body proportions or their body type, which is why I think that you think that clothes do not fit you the way it fits the model. Because although the model might have the same measurements with you in girth, but proportionally in height, they are very different. Again, I did a whole series describing the different body types and archetypes. You could check it out in the link below. Let's move on to the cost of plus size in fashion. Another big issue I see not just in the plus size community, but all across consumers is people want designer fashion at fast fashion prices. It's unrealistic and unattainable. I have stated my stance as a consumer and a designer. I don't condone cheap and fast fashion. It implies that consumers are okay with slave labor, where the workers who are making the clothes are not owed a livable wage because consumers aren't willing to pay for it. At the end of the day, the fashion industry is in the business of making money like any other industry. It is not their responsibility to cut down their prices to dollars and cents for you because they don't deem it's ethical and sustainable for their business practices. Some brands have taken the initiative to accommodate the cost of plus size fashion by creating diffusion lines. Diffusion lines started in the 90s as a way for brands to serve their customer base the same style aesthetic but at a more affordable price by keeping ties to the designer brand. Brands that you might have heard of, like CK from Calvin Klein, DKNY from Donna Karan, RL from Ralph Lauren, and many others. Diffusion lines have changed significantly since its inception. Nowadays, some brands also offer diffusion lines as a way to generate money to fund their main line. After a couple of decades of soft sales competing with fast fashion, high-end designers have limited their diffusion line offerings in favor of selling accessories, beauty products, and perfume. But there are many new plus-size brands entering the industry every season. I suggest you find them and support them. It's a profitable business model for these brands to offer all-inclusive size fashion at inexpensive prices for the masses. Unfortunately, due to the lower price, the brands have to dilute the fashion to cover the cost of production and the fabric. It's a case of you get what you pay for. I had done a whole video explaining the real cost it takes to develop and produce plus size fashion. If you are interested, check out the link below. With that said, you don't have to sacrifice good style with good fit. There are still brands out there offering expanded sizing in a variety of price points that could reflect the personal style that you desire. You just need to do the research and find the brands that have you and your body type as a target customer in mind. We have so many resources at our fingertips nowadays, but you as a consumer have to take the initiative to do the research of finding the styles and brands that cater to your body type and your body shape and have you as a target customer. It is literally what influencers are getting paid to do by newer brands to get their product into your hands. This leads to my next topic of influencers and negative journalism in the plus size community. From my experience with social media, there's been a lot of negativity and anger towards plus size fashion brands and influencers. To the brands, it's always, why can't I get straight size fashion in plus size? Or, how hard is it to add a few inches to the garment? Oftentimes, these ignorant statements come from people who do not know how to make clothes. To the influencers, a lot of the comments are, you're not plus size enough, you're a skinny fat, you are getting the clothes for free. Where is the voice of positivity and encouragement? There are people and influencers who I've shared on my platform who are proud of how far size inclusivity has come, and they are working with brands to do better. I'm not sure why the plus size community don't work with these influencers and the brands who want them instead of focusing their energy on the brands that don't want them. These influencers have real bodies like you and not these supermodel body types. They can give you the positive recommendations that you want. Again, I cannot stress enough that you find the plus size influencers who can help you find the plus size brands instead of being the voice of negativity. Talk to them if you feel like they're not offering you enough, because it's literally their job to find brands and promote it. That's what they're getting paid for. They are aware of plus size brands that you've never heard of because it's their job to be in the know if they're any good at their job. They are the fashion influencers of today, and as you can see, they offer a wide variety of style aesthetics. Here's someone who is minimalist. Here's someone who is maximalist. Here's someone with a feminine style aesthetic. Here's someone with an edgy style aesthetic. Yes, some of them are getting paid and some of them are getting free clothing. But this is how brands, especially smaller ones, get extra exposure by working with influencers. The job of the influencers is to get you to be aware of the brand and buy the product. You can't begrudge someone who's out there working. If you are still negatively impacted by lack of inclusivity in fashion, you as a consumer need to realize how much power you have by your actions and your buying power. Flood their DMs and emails. Support brands who do plus sizes. Get the word out when you find a good brand who are plus size inclusive. Now let's talk about availability of brands. More than ever, there are emerging plus size fashion designers and brands begging for exposure on the selling floor and online, just like any other brand. They need your support and buying power in order to grow their business and become more well known in the plus size community. Back when I was in college kids flooded the stores demanding Stussy and Doc Martens. It's how Stussy became a household name and Doc Martens got reintroduced to a newer audience. Another major factor that leads to lack of availability in stores and online is actually the fashion buyers. A lot of decisions of what's made available to the consumers are made by fashion buyers. If a brand offers 50 styles in 10 sizes, but the buyer only buys 4 styles in 6 sizes, that's what you're gonna get. Ultimately, it isn't the brands that aren't offering the sizes and the styles that you want, but it's the buyers who decide what you're gonna get. It is the buyers who decide what is available for you to shop. Much like brands have a target customer, so do department stores and retail stores. A lot of the decision of what goes on the selling floor is based on last season's sales performance. The buyers are the ultimate gatekeepers of fashion to consumers and not the designers or the brands. For example, if a plus-size consumer is seeing lack of sizing from season to season, this is a direct result of what the buyer sees in the sales report from the previous season. So if they see a lack of sales or an over-excessive amount of items being put on discount post-season, they will not follow the same buying size ratio in sizes as the previous season. Buyers are not risk takers like fashion designers and fashion brands. Very rarely do they buy untested new styles, and they do not deviate from an antiquated buying model of size ratio. This means they're buying something that looks like this. This kind of buying ratio favors some sizes over others based on the buying history of past seasons. If the larger sizes sell more units, there's no way the buyer would not switch up the buying ratio to look more something like this, where it's in favor of the larger sizes. I've been heavily involved with buying ratios throughout my career, and buyers do not veer off this buying ratio because sales numbers do not lie. No brand or retailers want to have leftover inventory at the end of the season to go on discount. They would have to shut the doors if they operate this way. There's also a big misunderstanding about size availability in the brick and mortar retailers, especially in post-COVID times. Physical retail stores are not what they used to be. Even major department stores like Lord & Taylor, Barney's, and Neiman Marcus have given way to online shopping. Since COVID, even more people are shopping online. Due to lack of business, brick and mortar stores are limited in what sizes and styles they carry in their stores. This doesn't mean that you can't ask the store representative to help you find the sizes, because more likely than not, the sales associates are working on sales commission and they want you to ask them for help in finding sizes. They will do everything in their power to get the sale, so they will help you find your size. And if there are more customers asking for larger sizes, that information will get passed to the buyer and it will go up the chain, and that the stores will carry a more size inclusive offering. I had worked for a brand that did not offer size 12 until enough customers asked for it, and then they offered the size 12 in their business model. Most fashion brands offer a 6 size scale because the fit universally works in missy and plus sizing without giving you a poor fit in grading. If all this fails, the digital market has grown tremendously. All the resources that you need is just a Google search away. With all that said, how do you take all the information I've just given you and become a more informed consumer? Knowing your body silhouette and archetype, and dress for the body that you have instead of a body that a brand is pushing, which might not be your body type. Explore and find newer brands that have you as their target customer. Follow the influencers who you can relate to. They will be able to direct you to the brands who want you as a target customer. Becoming a more active consumer is very important in seeing more size inclusivity in fashion. Talk to the salespeople. Tell them what you want to see on the selling floor. And online, if you can, be honest about the fit of the product you bought. Brands read those reviews like it's the fashion Bible and use that information to improve the fit of their future design. If all else fails, get your clothes tailored to custom fit your body. There are 12 silhouettes and 13 kiwi body types out there. It is nearly impossible to cover all body types within the limited size range for any fashion brand. Your best bet is to size up and have it tailored down to flatter your body the way you want. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that it was informative enough for you to see all points of view in plus size fashion. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video learning about how to become a more informed consumer. Subscribe to this channel if you want to learn more about the fashion industry. Leave a comment below if you want to learn more about good fashion business models. Bye!